Good morning, gorgeous. Yes, you. Before we get into today's episode, I want to take a moment and say thank you. Thank you for coming back for season two. I should have said this last week, but I am still finding my rhythm in this space. This podcast has stretched me in ways I did not expect. Not because I do not have anything to say, but because I am learning how to say it from a more honest place. That takes practice. If you know me, you know I love to talk. That part has never been the issue. But this kind of sharing, this level of openness is different for me. It requires me to slow down and really let you hear me. So if you stay with me, you will hear the shift. You will hear me become more relaxed, more grounded, and more myself. Everything I talk about here matters to me. This is not surface conversation. This is why I started this podcast. I wanted a space to talk about growth, real growth, the kind that does not always look pretty, the kind that asks you to look at yourself honestly and still choose to move forward, especially when you know something in your life no longer fits. This is for women who are no longer ignoring what they feel and are ready to move with clarity instead of hesitation. And yes, I speak from my own experience at this stage of life. But this is bigger than that. This is for anyone who knows they are ready to change and is willing to do the work that comes with it. Because change is possible, but it is a decision. I also want you to hear this clearly. You are not the only one going through this. There are women carrying full lives and full responsibilities while still working through things quietly. Strong women, capable women, women who show up every day and are still figuring things out. That is real, and that is who I'm speaking to. So I am glad I am here, and I am glad I am here with you. If you keep coming back, you are not just going to hear me talk, you are going to hear growth. You are going to hear clarity. You're going to hear what it looks like to become more aligned over time. And I want to hear from you, ladies. Tell me what is on your mind. Tell me what you are working through. Tell me what you are choosing for yourself, even if it feels uncomfortable. Because I can tell you this with certainty. I am not the same woman I used to be, and I like who I am now. Don't get it twisted. I have always respected who I was, but where I am today feels different. It feels aligned emotionally, spiritually, and personally. That is the space we are building here. So let's get to it. Today's episode is titled Becoming Without Apology. And it feels like the right place to continue this conversation. Before we go any further, I want to ground this in a word. Romans 12:2 says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will." This is not just change. This is alignment with who you are called to be. There comes a point in your life where you stop asking for permission before you make decisions. Not out loud and not in a way that needs validation, but internally. You stop checking in with everyone else before you move. You stop explaining your decisions before you even make them. You stop shrinking your voice to keep other people comfortable. That shift is quiet, ladies, but it is powerful. For a long time, many of us were taught to consider everyone else first, to be agreeable, to be accommodating, to be understanding, and be patient. There's nothing wrong with those qualities, but when they come at the cost of yourself, they become a problem. There is a difference between being kind and abandoning yourself. And a lot of women have spent years showing up for everyone else: family, work, friendships, and responsibilities. You became dependable. You became the one people can count on. You became the one who handled things. But somewhere along the way, you have stopped checking in with yourself. What do I need? What do I want? What no longer feels right? When those questions go unanswered for too long, something starts to feel off. Not broken, but misaligned. That misalignment shows up quietly at first. You feel tired in a way that rest does not fix. You feel disconnected, but you cannot always explain why. You start questioning things you used to accept without thinking. That is not confusion, that is awareness. And awareness is where change begins. There is a moment when you realize something no longer fits and you cannot ignore it anymore. It might be a relationship, a pattern, a habit, or even a way of thinking. Once you feel it, you know something has to change. That is where the discomfort begins, because now you have a decision to make. You can stay the same and silence what you feel, or you can acknowledge it and start choosing differently. Change is not always dramatic. Most of the time, it is subtle. You stop agreeing to things that do not feel right. You take a moment before you react. You make choices based on clarity, not pressure. And that, Edvana, is how growth happens. Many women apologize for this stage, not always with words, but with behavior. You over explain, you soften your decisions, you second guess yourself. You make sure everyone else is comfortable before you allow yourself to be. That keeps you stuck, sis. Becoming requires clarity. It requires ownership. It requires you to stand in your decisions without needing approval. That does not mean you stop caring. Of course not. It means you stop abandoning yourself. Becoming without apology means you stop feeling guilty for growing. You stop feeling guilty for changing your mind. You stop feeling guilty for choosing peace over pressure. You stop feeling guilty for outgrowing spaces that once felt right. That is maturity. That is awareness. And that is alignment. Not everyone will understand your growth, and that's okay, because some people only knew the version of you that was easier for them. That is not your responsibility. This is where it deepens. You begin to trust yourself more. You stop looking outside for constant validation. You stop needing reassurance for every decision. You move with quiet confidence, not loud, not performative, just steady. And that confidence shows up in your choices in small ways by, number one, you stop over explaining your boundaries. Number two, you give yourself time before responding. Number three, you choose rest without guilt. Number four, you stop saying yes out of obligation. And number five, you trust the decisions you already made. These are the small changes, but they shift everything. You are allowed to grow. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to choose differently, ladies. And you do not have to apologize for any of that. Becoming is a daily decision. And every time you choose yourself with clarity, you move closer to alignment. And that's where you want to be. If today's episode resonated with you, leave a review and share it with another woman who's rising or someone in your life who needs to hear this conversation. Follow the show on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And if you're listening to YouTube, like and subscribe so you don't miss what's next on Rosie Rooted and Rising. Until next time, sis, y hermana, stay rooted, stay blessed, and keep rising. New episodes every Monday morning.